Welcome to the Create the Life You Want podcast, where we break down the journey of people just like you going from dream to ownership in business acquisitions, franchises, and startups. I'm your host, Jeremy Ames. Today's episode is brought to you ad-free by Guidant Financial. Guidant is America's leading company helping aspiring entrepreneurs use retirement funds to buy or start businesses. If you're committed to buying or starting a business, you can find out more about your funding options by going to www.guidantfinancial.com. That's Guidant financial.com. Now, let's get started with the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Create the Life You Want podcast. Today, I'm joined by Eddie Dicker, who made the decision to become a franchise owner, and I believe had some fits and starts along the way. So we're eager to find out more about it. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Eddie, I'm curious, the way we normally start this show is finding out a little bit about people's background. So tell me, did you always know you wanted to be a business owner, or when did the thought or the bug hit you?
Well, I tried it long ago as an internet guy when the internet first came out, selling vitamins, and that didn't work out so good. So as a result, I said, when I do get to the point, when I retire, I'll try again. And now here I am, and I'm trying it again.
So tell us about this vitamin thing. When did this happen, and what were you doing at the time?
That was back in like 1997. I
Okay,
had
all
it for
right.
like 5 years working out of my house. I mean, I was going to my regular job too, but 5 years working out of my house, had a little home office and all that stuff. But it was really, I mean, the internet was still new in 1997, so it wasn't like the traction like today and all the different things and avenues that people can use to utilize that space. And it didn't work so well. I didn't lose any money per se, but I had a website. I had very little bit of customers back then. And I said, well, when I get a chance, once I retire, I'll give it a shot, but not at vitamins, at something else.
So you were an early adopter. You were one of the first people who said, hey, I think we can sell things on the internet. You just might have been a little bit early to the party.
I guess I was too early, but I had a web designer, developer, and everything. Like people. Hey, I give it a shot.
Yeah. So you tried this business for 5 years, and then what did you end up doing after that? What was your life before you took a second stab at becoming a business owner?
I worked for the railroad. I worked for the
Okay.
railroad from the ground up. I worked at the railroad for 30 years. I came up through the ranks. So I started out as a brakeman when they had brakemen back then, and that was in '92. And then I became a conductor, then an engineer, then I became a train dispatcher, then I became a train master, then became a road foreman. I moved up through the ranks,
Yeah.
and I spent 23 years in management. And so as a result, I said, well, when my time is up, because you get to do 30 years. When you do 30 years, you can
So as
retire.
I understand it, Eddie, you had started a side business for a few years while you were still working for the railroad. That was sort of the first main job that you had, and you were doing it for a long time. You tried this vitamins thing, didn't work, so you let go of that. You kept working in the railroad, moving up the ranks. But with the thought in your mind, hey, once I hit my 30-year pension, I'm going to take another go at trying to be an entrepreneur.
Yes. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
the thought. And I got introduced to my franchise through my nephew, who owns three.
Okay.
He also owns five Scented Hounds franchises, and he's also a DSP for Amazon. I said, this kid, well, he's doing pretty good. His Spiffy's doing great. Scented Hounds doing great. I call him for advice all the time. He's doing real good. So I said to my wife, I'm going to give it a shot.
And
And,
why,
and,
Eddie?
and
I'm curious because most people would think, hey, I'm going 30 years. That's the finish line. When I'm done, I'm going to sit and drink mint juleps and, enjoy the rest of my time. But you had it in the back of your mind that you were going to do something a little crazier. So where'd that come from?
oh gosh, well, but the thing that is I wanted to open a franchise so that I can possibly make more money. Uh, that way I can do some things that I would like to do that most people don't normally do. And I'm taking a risk, and it's starting to work out after being in business for a year. but I'm still taking a risk. And I and my wife talked just yesterday about what's the reward side going to be. My whole goal was my wife, she has a business too, and she's retired like me. Because on the railroad, you get she gets half my pension, but I have a different phase because I get regular railroad pension, and then I also was a manager for 23 years, so I get a manager's pension as well. So we are living off our three pensions, you could say. And I wanted to take this business and raise enough money to help her business as one of my goals. She does catering, and one day I'd like to see her get a food truck and maybe a restaurant and move on from there. The other part of it was to be able to earn money so I could donate towards nonprofits that I guess you could say the word cherish.
Well, tell us more about that, Eddie.
Well, my first nonprofit that I support now, even though I have a business, is called Cadence Hope. It's a national nonprofit that helps people that are prenatal babies that are born. So they don't help with the medical bills. They help with the incidentals like gas and food and hotel stays. And me and the founder of Cadence Hope, we kind of like adopted each other. He's older than me. I call him my big brother. So whenever I can, I try to do things to help support his nonprofit.
Yeah.
The thing that I have here in San Antonio is a mobile car wash, mobile detailing, mobile oil change business. So I had put together with other ambassadors from the chamber we're in to do a car wash drive for help. So we could raise money for that event. Then he had a thing here in December where he wanted to show appreciation to all the ambassadors. So he needed sponsors to help sponsor the boat ride on the Riverwalk. So I was one of his sponsors. I was like the first sponsor. I said, "Hey, when are you going to do so? I want to sponsor you, help you." He says, "Boy, I didn't even. I had a concept, but you're in." I said, "I'm in." So he was happy, and he wound up getting four more people or whatever to help sponsor, so he can raise more money for the families for Cadence Hope.
Okay, so I'm curious, Eddie. You use some interesting language that I don't know would necessarily sync with most people, so I want to understand how your brain works on this. You said, my wife and I are retired, and she runs a catering business, and I run this mobile car wash and detailing, right? That doesn't sound like retired to most people. So, what is your mentality when you think about what retirement means and what you're trying to do in your life?
Retirement means to me you have the opportunity to have fun doing what you want to do versus doing something you have to do.
Got it.
My wife enjoys catering. I help her with that. She helps me with my detail business, and she has fun doing what she do. I enjoy what I'm doing. So my brother said, "Let me get this straight. You retired so you can go back to work." I said, "There's a difference." He said, "What's the difference?" I said, "I'm having fun." So so now because of that, he's going to retire next month. Well, actually April, and he's going to open up a hot dog stand
I love
because he
that.
sees how much fun I'm having. So he don't want to be, he don't want to be out of the loop for the fun.
Yep, you're retiring so you can have fun. And for you, that means running a business so you can support some of the things you care about. You talked about the charities. Is there anything else on your list that really drives you on a day to day basis when you think about what you're building for?
I'm building for hopefully that one day he's not on board with it, that I can get to a certain point where my son can come and work for me and run it for me, and then take it over when I turn 70. You know what I mean? He's not interested, so I said, well, I'll pull in one of my nephews. Which one's not doing so great? I say, you come and stay with me, and I'm going to teach you my business, and you run my business for me, and you move to Texas. And if my son don't do it, I'm going to grab one of my nephews to do it.
Got it. So you're looking at it as a family legacy thing as well. Someone can
Yes.
step into it. Well, I'm curious, Eddie. It sounds like you've thought about wanting to be a business owner when you retire so you can have fun for a long time. Uh, when did you decide what business to go into? It sounds like you're really inspired by your nephew. Did you do much of any other research or exploration of other types of businesses?
I did like most people. I go into YouTube and watch all these guys recommend this franchise, recommend that franchise. And I'm like, oh, well, which one do I choose? I know which one to choose. So then my nephew and his wife, she's a doctor, and they came up from Georgia to visit. And we said, well, how's it going? How's it? He said, we bought another franchise. He said, tell me more about it. And then he told us about it. And then I said to my wife after we met with him, I said, hey, I think I might want to do that. And then I called up the Spiffy office and started lining up calls and everything to get involved.
Got it. So you were already looking before, and then that conversation with your nephew said, "Hey, this is working for him," and that breaks the tie versus any of these random YouTube influencers I may have been talking to or listening
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Since he had, hindsight, maybe I should have got this into Hal because he's doing great. Yeah. But hindsight, maybe I should become a DSP guy. It's one of the dozen, whatever they call that stuff. But so I stuck with the Spiffy.
Well, tell me, Eddie, you said you wanted to retire to have fun. Sounds like you're having a lot of fun doing what you're doing. What is different about your life now as a business owner than it was when you were working for the railroad? Like, what's making it fun for you?
The biggest part of the fun because I was a manager and I dealt with logistics and I still do that today. I guess that's my lane of life. But the most enjoyable part of it is I get to meet people. So one of the things, like I talk about the charities. So one other thing is I moved from New Jersey and I go and donate blood. So I get down here, there's no Red Cross in South Texas blood. So I joined the Chamber of Commerce, the Greater San Antonio Chamber of Commerce. And so now I want to do a blood drive. So I got it hooked up. I'm with the liaison from South Texas Blood. We had a drive. It wasn't that successful. So she says, wouldn't it be nice if we could do a blood drive with 4 chambers? I said, well, why stop at 4? Let's do all 16. So I spent from May of last year all through September going to visit other chambers, talking to their ambassadors, talking to their leadership about we want to have a chamber challenge blood drive. And out of the 16, I'm in connection with the 10, and we're still trying to get this blood drive together. So I like meeting people, and that gave me the opportunity to meet people because coming down from New Jersey to Texas, I have no family here. So it gave me a chance to meet people. I enjoy people. I love people. That's something I can't stop, is what I do. So hopefully I can get one blood drive going and then show and prove the chamber challenge works, and then I can get the other 7 chambers involved. Because we're going to do an initial small one. If I get all 10 involved, then the next time I can roll out to the 16.
Got
So
it.
what happened is my sister-in-law, she is sickle cell anemia. She has it, and she's always getting blood transfusions. So what better way to help people, whether they're in that situation or not, than to have a blood drive to bring people together? Maybe it is a challenge and to be a competition amongst chambers, but nevertheless, it gives the opportunity to a group of people under one umbrella to try to help a group of people that donate blood and get more people so the blood bank won't have these. At least they know every 3 months there'll be a new infusion of around the blood, with these different challenges.
Yeah, so I got two big takeaways from what you just said there. One is, I think we just learned you worked for 30 years in New Jersey and then you retired to San Antonio. But in retiring to San Antonio, now you don't really have a community there until and unless you create it. And so part of what the business is giving you is a vehicle or a calling card or whatever to reach out and meet people, whether that's through your networking that you're doing at the chamber or whether that's through, meeting with potential customers. And then the second thing I'm hearing is you're just a guy who likes projects, man. You got to find something to do to give back. And if you didn't have a business, you'd be probably spinning up a lot of dust for somebody, including your wife.
Uh, you're right. Now the third charity that I work with is called Unite SA, which is a Christian organization. It's a networking organization, and we are working on a project called Let Us Unite, where we're going around. I'm an ambassador for that, and I guess you're right about me and the guy of projects, but I'm trying to fulfill them, okay?
Yep.
Nevertheless, so with Unite SA, we're meeting with different churches and ministries to try to bring people on the 24th, 25th, and 26th of May to unite together to celebrate the goodness and faithfulness of God, what He's done in San Antonio. So I spent part of my day, 3 hours with the Ministry Alliance, which is an alliance of Hispanic pastors. and we were doing like a small presentation to try to get them on board to bring their congregants and volunteer to help us put this together. So I have three nonprofits that I like to support, and this has given me the avenue through the chamber. I was introduced to Unite SA. If I never was a part of the chamber, I would never met Unite SA. Through the chamber, my wife for getting some of her, you know, catering projects. We got one coming up next month on St. Patty's Day with 100 people. So
Well,
yeah, I guess I'm a guy with projects.
yeah, well, and your business has been your connective tissue for that. I'm curious though, Eddie, if we take a step back, you told us a little bit about the story of, you were sort of searching around for franchise and having a hard time deciding which one. Then your nephew came and you saw, oh, hey, somebody in my family is crushing it. So maybe this is the right one and I'll have this resource. What kind of due diligence did you do with the franchise? I know you set up the calls. Did you just sort of take it, hey, my nephew's doing this, so I feel good about it? Or did you do some other things to really look into the franchise model and decide, hey, if this was going to be a good fit for you?
Well, how would you say? So I just did what I could online, check out a little bit about the background, the leadership, where they come from, what mindset they had. I just try to read as much as I could about Spiffy itself. And then I said, I'm interested, and that's the background as much as I did. And at that time, they had many like podcasts where they interview franchisees and how they were doing and things. And it was all positive that their experiences that they were sharing, they were growing. They did give you the downfalls of what you have to do to be profitable in the first year and things like that. They did note. So I know the first year was going to be a challenge. And yeah, so that's like they say, if you want to turn over your money fast, you got to have 5 vans in the first year. I didn't have that. I got 2 vans. So I'm getting to profitability slowly.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about what your expectations were coming into the business and what things have surprised you, both from the good and maybe from the not so good.
Man, it sounds like you've been in my head last night. I only said it because I was thinking about something like a question like that. Not, oh, this guy gonna ask me this question, but no. What happened is the challenge that I did not anticipate of how much it was going to cost for the first year. I thought it'd be a lot cheaper because I was in San Antonio. I thought the rent for a space would be a lot cheaper than in New Jersey, which it is, and so the overhead was what I did not factor in to be as high as it is. And then the biggest overhead with my vans, the insurance for the vans, commercial insurance, then the insurance for the space that I have as my office and my warehouse. I didn't think this, my 3 biggest drivers is payroll, insurance, and rent.
Yeah.
I didn't think the rent was going to be as high. I didn't think the insurance was going to be as high. But payroll is naturally going to be high. But I thought my monthly expenses would be a little lower.
Got it. Did you do some financial modeling with that? Like, did you take what was in the franchise disclosure document and build something out, or you just kind of back of the napkin mathed it?
I've read this stuff, and they have it. They have it in the package. They have all this stuff in the package, and I probably should ask more questions because there's a lot of numbers and there's a lot of columns and there's a lot of page. I mean, this thing is like 90-some pages long. So
Yeah.
I tried to read through the whole entire thing and absorb as much as I could. And when I had the calls prior to opening, ask as many questions as I could. But it's like everything in life. You never know what questions you're missing to ask.
Yeah. Well,
Anything new,
I'm
you're a
curious.
really good listener. I appreciate that.
I'm curious, Eddie, for the benefit of the listeners here, because this is where you can help Eddie of a year ago. What are the questions that you would have asked knowing what you know now?
I had plenty of time to read through the franchise agreement, and I should have did what's like, how you do in a notebook when you're reading a book and there's a book you're going to keep and maybe reading. I should have wrote questions on each page where I had questions that I didn't understand the information. And if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would do that. But when it comes to the numbers, even though I might understood them, maybe I should have asked more questions concerning the numbers. Because when I had to do the training at my office, with the staff flew down from North Carolina, they says, I don't know if they told you, but you now I read this. But it went in one eye and came out the other, I guess. I read this. You know you need at least $10,000 a month to run this business. Like, I know I read that, but I don't remember any of that. But thanks for letting me know. So now, before I actually officially open, now I'm seeing, okay, the van, the different expenses. And I saw what they said, yes, it's going to take at least 10,000 a month to run the business. But nevertheless, it would be like writing on a paper in the book itself to say, let me ask this question. I don't understand this fully. Let me ask. That's what I would do different. So
Yeah.
now when I'm about to do things, I try to take more time with them before I say, I'm in, because I learned some things as I go through this process.
Yeah. Uh, did you build any sort of financial model when you were going through this, or you just assumed, hey, I'm going to spend this chunk of money for the franchise fee and a few equipment things, and then I'm mostly going to run it lean on a little bit while I build up the business? Because it sounds like the big surprise to you was, wow, this is going to be a lot of overhead in the beginning that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I did the latter. I didn't do a whole lot of I did take a business course to get a better understanding what I'm about to get into and what I'm about to do. And I try to apply some of those principles. But I did not sign up for that guy to be my accountant because I already had an accountant. And now, like today, I was just at a chamber meeting and they had two bankers and a loan officer from, they went over different issues. They're going to bring them back. And I learned some things like that I didn't totally pay. Now, the course that I took was will you listen and also will you read and will you answer questions and it was a nice course, but I did not digest everything. And in hindsight, if I could have did like that course a year out and say, I'll wait and open a franchise and go through that course like a second time. So I would have known the questions I should ask. It took more, anything if I could have done is take more time
Yeah.
to try to
So,
learn how to run a business.
yeah. So month one, they come in to do the training and they tell you, Eddie, it's going to cost 10 grand a month to run this. What did you do then? Because clearly that was not part of the plan from the get go for you.
Well, I had already had the money to use, and I said, I just got to watch my pennies,
Got it.
because I'm trying to maneuver to keep it going and stuff like that. And that's what I did. But
Got it.
I'm not that good at QuickBooks. My wife helped me with the QuickBooks, so we're getting better at it. As each, I guess you could say, each week go by, we're getting better at it. And that would be one thing if you're going to use, there's many different bookkeeping softwares out there, but QuickBooks is the most user friendly. And so you watch the video on YouTube, you watch the videos on QuickBooks, you learn how to use it and utilize it. And so that's one tool we're trying to learn how to really use as a resource because they have a lot of things in it.
Yeah. And user friendly might be a stretch. It's probably pretty user friendly for most accountants, but there's a little bit of a learning curve if you haven't
That's
worked
why I
in it.
look at YouTube videos to learn. They have little videos for segments, and I look at YouTube. They teach you a lot. These a lot of people, and I listen to them, and then I go and I play with it and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sounds like YouTube has been a really good resource for you. You have any other good stories about where in your business YouTube has saved your bacon?
Oh no, actually, I did sign up for a mentorship through Scores, which I got to reach out to this guy and talk to him. Score they have down here a mentorship for small business owners, and it's like people who know what they're doing versus a guy like me who has very little knowledge. But anyway, and the mentor will help you at a different stage from whatever you set and score that you like. If it be marketing, if it be the bookkeeping, which would be with bookkeeping, or different things about finances, financial planning. They got a guy to help you, somebody willing to be, some are athletes, some are, former advisors, different levels so I got to reach out to this mentor of mine and have him touch base with me.
Yeah, just for the listeners, Score, you can find them at score.org. They're nonprofit organization that's connected to the SBA, where they have retired executives and other professionals that volunteer time to support small business owners like Eddie. So they're a fantastic resource. Eddie, I'm curious, with your nephew, you've got a franchisee in the family. So presumably somebody who's doing this and doing this well. What did your nephew tell you when you started, and what have you learned from him since?
Well, see, his is unique. He cheated. That's what
Okay.
they say.
All
He
right.
cheated.
I want to hear how he
They say
cheated.
he cheated because he was an Amazon DSP when he started. So when he bought the franchise, his spiffy takes care of his Amazon DSP and other Amazon DSPs in this area. So he walks in, he buys spiffy, he has a built-in group of people that he's going to service out the gate. So he's doing great. He has a mechanic in his shop. I have a mechanic too, but his mechanic fixes the DSP's vehicles as well. So they say, he cheated. So I didn't get a chance to cheat. So I had to do it from the ground up. The main advice he gave me was, concerning when it comes to marketing, that you cannot rely upon a franchise to do marketing alone. You have to do something for yourself. And that's why I joined the chamber, to help
Yep.
get my name out there more, because I'm new to this market. And in this market, they have 100 brick and mortar car washes. They have like 75 detailers, but they don't have just one or two auto mobile oil change outfits. That's where I come in. That's my little segment. They do have some mobile mechanics. So I have a mobile mechanic that I utilize from time to time.
What's your nephew's name, by the way?
Rashawn.
Rashawn. Okay. So I want to go back to this Rashawn cheated, because I actually think it's brilliant. So I want to reinforce what he did. So Rashawn's
Oh,
first business.
hey, I tell you how brilliant it is. So he had these Amazon vans during COVID. This is brilliant. They gave him that PPP stuff
Yep.
for all his employees. That's how he bought 3 Spiffy franchise with that money. Talk
Okay.
about brilliant.
So let's back up, because I want to reinforce this for the listeners. So he had a business where he's doing Amazon delivery routes, essentially. There's other business models like this, like UPS. So he had these businesses, and it involves trucks. And sounds like when he got the PPP funds, he was thinking about, how would I invest these? He found the Spiffy franchise, and he's thinking, hey, I can not only service my other business with this new franchise, but I can service all these other people that I know that are running similar businesses. And that's really what got him off the ground with that detailing franchise. Am I getting that right?
You got it right. You got it
Love
right.
that. Love that. Way to go, Rashawn. Anything else that you have learned from him, other than the fact that he cheated? And
Well, I don't say he cheated. That's what Spiffy say, he cheated. I say he was really thinking really good about what he was doing,
really
and I
smart.
think it's a good thing. I wish I could have done something like that, but it wasn't. I was still working at the railroad, so it is what it is. Hey, you have your opportunities, and you take them when you get them, and you utilize them as you can. That's all I can say.
Well, it sounds like what's brilliant about what Rashawn did is he knew that there was a need for these commercial companies that have vans. So have you been able to leverage that into any of your marketing of who you're going after? Maybe people who are
So
operating
the target
DS
market for Spiffy franchise owners is fleet. So that's why I joined the chamber, with hoping to meet fleet accounts.
other
And
business
I
owners.
have. And I
Yeah.
have. So as an ambassador, one of the things is you get to meet more people. And so I have secure contracts with fleets, but my my semi biggest fleet contract, I wasn't able to close the deal. And I was just having a brief meeting before I come up with you about that. I got to revisit, because the gentleman I was talking with said maybe I overwhelmed her, and that's why she thought I gave her too much information. Maybe that's why she didn't go with me right then. And I've been looking for her at different events, but I haven't seen her. So I said I got to send her an email. But nevertheless, so finally, I am working on, like my nephew, having a contract with Amazon and just doing their washes. And so I finally got to that level where, like, this one company called Element that works for as a partner with Amazon, they have 200 vehicles. So my wife and I was out doing the Element vehicles, and a DSP approached me, and I talked with them, and I got him signed up. He has 45 vehicles.
Nice.
So now another DSP ran into my crew at another location, and I gave him the information, our pricing and everything. And I got to reach out to him after I talked to you somewhere during the day to see if he got an account. Because what we would do the Element side during the day, and the DSPs, we would do their washes at night.
Yeah, and what is Element? I know the DSP because that's they're running
So
route for the.
Element, there's the Element is the company that leases vans to the DSPs. The
Oh,
DSPs are the ones that come to
yep.
your house. So when a DSP van breaks down or something like that, they go back to Element. Element will lease them a van while those vans, they got two, three, four, whatever. He'll lease vans to them. Then what happens when they return their van back to Element? Element sends it out to a mechanic. They check it out. Then they call us to come and wash them before
Yeah,
they release them.
it's brilliant. So that's not it's another customer, but it's also potentially a vehicle to get, no pun intended, vehicle to get to these DSP owners who have their own fleets.
Yes, yes. So my strategy is I got the one DSP I met and talked with is let us do service for you well, and then you can introduce me to the other DSPs. Unless Element introduce me. Now he told the guy from Element that I deal with, he's the logistic guy. He said, I told the DSPs to give you a call and I gave them your number. So my thing is, I do this one guy well, do that guy well. Now they can tell that, oh, they're doing a good job. And then they'll start reaching out and maybe I get introductions to them. And I'll be getting to the moment of being similar to my nephew, but not as big as my nephew because he also do repairs.
Yeah, not yet. Anyway, Eddie, you're gonna
But the
catch him at some
benefit of
point.
being with Amazon, it offers true longevity because people love shopping at home,
Yeah.
shopping from home.
Yep. And how did he get into that?
Say it again, my friend.
How did he get into that with
Well,
Amazon?
if you remember when there was a $10,000 ask from Amazon and they were offering routes throughout America, and he applied and he got it.
No, that was his in.
Yeah,
Love it.
that was his end. He
So
had
you
prior already owned the Scent and Hound franchises, but this was another opportunity for him to get another stream of income using the Amazon DSP side.
yeah, smart. Eddie, I'm curious. You've been at this a year now, you said?
Yes.
What is the biggest lesson that you've learned over a year of being a business owner?
When it comes to marketing, you have to really watch what you're doing with it because you have so many people with so many ideals and so many ways to try to bring in traffic. And that was one of my biggest downfalls. I spent in the very beginning, I spent way too much money on marketing.
Yeah. There's lots of people that will take your money, but not necessarily deliver you the leads you're looking for.
And now that side with the potential, I got a lot of leads, but I didn't get a lot of buyers. I got a lot of leads, but it there were more kicking the tires, you could say.
Hmm.
And the contract did allow me to get out of it at any time, but I stayed with it because I was taking advice from people that I know in the chamber. And so you got to stick with it, needs time. And now I'm just burning money, burning money, burning money. And
Yeah.
then it came to the point, I'm done. I'm done. Well, we can do that. No, 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 no. I'm done.
Yeah. Did you think it was at first was the reason you stayed because you're like, hey, I just haven't figured out how to close these leads yet? Like, what was keeping you spending the money other than people's voices in?
Because I didn't pay attention enough to maybe going with someone else or another opportunity, even though I had a guy in my office and the price he was asking per month was like way more than what I was paying. And I like, in hindsight, maybe I should have went with that guy. But the problem was I was locked in for a whole year and I was still wind up paying almost as much or just shy of what that guy would have charged. I might have got better results because he was a local guy
Yeah.
versus this is a guy out of Florida. So when people ask me in meetings what like a regret, and that is one when it comes to marketing. And I met a guy who's a millionaire, and he said, "What I should have did was everybody I meet, give them two business cards, one for them and one for a friend." He said, "I bought X amount of cards, and I haven't given them all out in my business. I'm a millionaire now. That's what you should do." He said, "You should visit 25 people a day or hand your business card out to 25 people a day." He said, "You can do it." I haven't done that, but he's a millionaire. I should be following his model.
Well, and to be frank, it sounds like it's really consistent with your skill set, Eddie. Like you're a people person. You can tell that picking you up, right? You like to meet with people. You like to talk to them. It seems like pretty solid advice for growing a business if you're wired that way.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
You guess. So in hindsight, then what you're saying is you would have not engaged these marketing firms to buy a bunch of leads. You would have spent more time networking in the early stages of the business.
I was doing both, but I would have cut off the marketing guy after 2 months instead of sticking with him for 6 months
Got it.
in hindsight. So now when I'm approached, I listen because it doesn't hurt to listen to people. They got time to listen. I got time to listen. I mean, they got time to talk. I got time to listen. I listen to them and then I evaluate if I want to do this or not.
Yeah.
And most of the time I said no. But I listen. I took the time to listen. I didn't come out right away and say, no, I don't want to hear what you got to say because they might have something that's valuable. And each time I do learn something from each of them. Well, he offers this, she's offers that. Maybe in the future I can revisit and utilize their service.
Yeah. What has been the thing you have found most productive for driving in customers out of the various things you've tried?
Um, my part is I just keep at trying to go to different functions and meeting people and letting them know my need, but I don't tell them that first. I try to find out how can I help them first.
Yeah.
And I try to not I leave that off the table about what I need. If they don't ask, I don't tell, but I'm asking them, so how can I help you? What is it you need me to do to help your business? And that's the biggest thing that's been helping me now is making that shift, which I started months ago after being in business for about 4 months. First, it was my need. And after 4 months, I met a young lady, and she taught me that you have to help them first. So you be a giver, not a taker. And if you be in that lane, eventually you can say to the individuals because you want to establish a relationship, build some credibility with them, and then build trust. Once you get to the trust level, then you can say to them, hey, by the way, would you happen to know anybody that would be having fleets? Because I could use a new fleet client right now.
Yeah.
Or by the way, if you ever run into anybody in any of your circles that you hear them talk about they need a mobile mechanic or think about me. That's all you can ask.
Got it. So
You still got to
networking.
ask, let them know you need, but you got to build that other stuff first.
Yeah.
The relationship, the trust, the credibility.
So networking has been the best performer, but not until you treated networking differently and started
Yes.
trying to be helpful with the people you were meeting before you asked them for anything.
Yes. That's
Brilliant.
the biggest takeaway. And so now it's part of what I do. And I do it with not expecting anything in return because hey, I got to help somebody. The way I
Yeah.
see it, this Amazon thing is a way helping me through other DSPs. So I'm sort of being taken care of, so I don't have to freak out and panic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. That's the hardest part of being a business owner, right? Imagine managing the emotions around the ups and downs that can happen.
Hmm.
Well, Eddie, I'm super grateful for you taking the time today. I especially love the story of, first of all, your view on retirement is a chance to do something where you can have some fun. Love that. And also loved you sharing a little bit about your journey and your story with your nephew, and how that's led you to a path of going after these fleet clients and having a little more success getting this business off the ground. So super grateful for your time.
I thank you for taking out the time out to chit chat with me.
Thanks for listening to the Create the Life You Want podcast. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to future episodes by clicking the subscribe button, you know where. If you're an aspiring business owner, you may also want to subscribe to the Create the Life You Want newsletter for more inspiration and tips delivered to your inbox every week. You can find the link to that in the show notes, as well as on my personal website, jeremyames.com. If you've already decided you want to start or buy a business, consider exploring your financing options by heading to our sponsor's website at www.guidantfinancial.com. That's GUIDANT financial.com. See you in the next episode.